The atrocities committed by Nazi Germany in the mid-20th century opened the world's eyes to what human beings were capable of doing in pursuit of absolute world domination. Hitler's greed was matched by no other man in that time. However, in modern times, in the United States of America, would it be possible for such a terrible totalitarian power to exist? I mean, we're all about freedom in America. Freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Yes, freedom of religion. In America, you can freely practice Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Scientology, and many... Scientology? Yes, Scientologists are considered a religious group both here and around the world. But are they a legitimate religion, or a totalitarian cult with plans for world domination, using America's support of religious freedom as a mask to hide their true plans? Most Scientologists will admit their beliefs are very controversial, but even though they admit this, more than 80% of them know close to nothing about why their church is surrounded by such controversy and criticism. One main reason why Scientology is considered a religion is explained in this Church of Scientology recruiting video.
Now, you may have some questions concerning the validity and integrity of the organization. Well, no less than the Internal Revenue Service of the United States government conducted a review of Scientology, the most thorough investigation of any church in its history. Over a period of many years, they examined millions of pages of church documents and financial records. They studied every aspect of the religion and its corporate and ecclesiastical structure. And their findings? The IRS determined that Scientology is a bona fide religion, that the churches of Scientology and the related social betterment organizations operate exclusively for religious, charitable, and educational purposes, that they benefit the public rather than the interests of private individuals, and that no part of their income goes to the benefit of any individual or non-charitable entity. It is likely that Scientology was scrutinized more deeply than any other church in history, and it passed that review with flying colors, gaining full religious and charitable recognition. In doing so, the IRS granted the church and all its affiliated organizations full tax exemption. In fact, you'll be happy to know, even your donations are tax deductible, just like every religion.
Scientologists are told to avoid watching too much television, and visiting internet sites critical of Scientology is forbidden. This and other videos are telling examples of how church leadership keeps most of its members uninformed about anything that would make them critical of what they believe. This supposed in-depth explanation omits a substantial amount of history behind the actions of the Church of Scientology. Namely, the actions they took to get religious tax-exempt status with the IRS. So what is the truth behind Scientology's religious tax-exempt status? In 1967, the IRS stripped the church of its tax exemption, declaring Scientology was a commercial organization operating for the benefit of L. Ron Hubbard. After the ruling, the church started a campaign to restore the religious tax exemption known today as Operation Snow White, which lasted from 1973 to 1977, where nearly 5,000 Scientologists infiltrated the United States government and the IRS, stealing any documents related to the Church of Scientology. This campaign was the largest infiltration of the United States government in U.S. history. In 1979, 11 Scientologists were convicted and sentenced to prison for infiltrating, wiretapping, and stealing documents from government offices, including the IRS. L. Ron Hubbard became a fugitive and spent the rest of his life in international waters aboard his flagship, the Freewinds. But on October 1st, 1993, the Church of Scientology was granted its religious tax-exempt status by the IRS, whom the church had stolen from, repeatedly sued, and harassed for nearly 3 decades. Here is another video released by the church that explains the creed of Scientology.
We of the church believe that all men, of whatever race, color, or creed, were created with equal rights, that all men have inalienable rights to their own religious practices and their performance, that all men have inalienable rights to their own lives, that all men have inalienable rights to their sanity, that all men have inalienable rights to their own defense, that all men have inalienable rights to conceive, choose, assist, or support their own organizations, churches, and governments, that all men have inalienable rights to think freely, to talk freely, to write freely their own opinions, and to counter or utter or write upon the opinions of others, that all men have inalienable rights to the creation of their own kind, that the souls of men have the rights of men, that the study of the mind and the healing of mentally caused ills should not be alienated from religion or condoned in non-religious fields, and that no agency less than God has the power to suspend or set aside these rights, overtly or covertly. And we of the Church believe that man is basically good, that he is seeking to survive, that his survival depends upon himself and upon his fellows and his attainment of brotherhood with the universe. And we of the Church believe that the laws of God forbid man to destroy his own kind, to destroy the sanity of another, to destroy or enslave another's soul, to destroy or reduce the survival of one's companions or one's group. And we of the Church believe that the spirit can be saved, and that the spirit alone may save or heal the body.
This may be what Scientologists believe, but what is the truth? To really understand all this, one must first understand the language of Scientology. Church members use more acronyms than a 16-year-old girl texting on a cell phone. In fact, they have so many special words and phrases, L. Ron Hubbard wrote a 300-page dictionary filled with Scientology terms. And since time is limited, I will only share 3 major terms. Org. An org is a building or group related to the Church of Scientology. The Church of Scientology in Houston can simply be called an org. PTS. Potential trouble source. Anyone connected to an SP. If you get sick or injure yourself, you are PTS, and vulnerable to punishment by Scientology. SP. Suppressive person. Anyone who speaks out against Scientology or generally disagrees with the teachings of Scientology can be labeled an SP. Here is what a typical Scientologist thinks about over 98% of the world population.
And, they said, so, like, have you met an SP? And I looked at them, and I thought, oh, what a beautiful thing, because maybe one day it'll be like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one day it will be that. Wow, SPs, like, they'll just read about those in the history books, The thing is, I just go through that tech, and it's not how to run from an SP. It's PTSSP, how to shatter suppression, confront shatter suppression. You apply it, it's like, boom. Because they don't come up to me and do that. They won't do it to me. Not to my face, or anywhere in my vicinity where they feel they can be confronted,
The Church of Scientology clearly opposes any negativity toward their beliefs. Hubbard even wrote an official church doctrine to always attack and never defend. One of the main policies that reflects this attitude is SP Order Fair Game. Fair Game policy was created by Hubbard in 1967. It describes proper punishments for members who exhibit signs of being PTS or SP, and it details how members are to handle SPs who are not Scientologists. SP Order Fair Game may be deprived of property or injured by any means by any Scientologist, without any discipline of the Scientologist, may be tricked, sued, lied to, or destroyed. Luckily, in 1968, this policy was canceled, and here's the cancellation. Cancellation of fair game. The practice of declaring people fair game will cease. Fair game may not appear on any ethics order. It causes bad public relations. This policy letter does not cancel any policy on the treatment or handling of an SP. Therefore, the fair gaming of SPs is still in effect to this day. Do you need proof?
Nazi criminal, go back to Germany! Nazi criminal, go back to Germany!
You're not welcome! This lady is a criminal!
Go back to Germany!
She's a Nazi! Go back to Germany! We don't want you here! We like freedom of religion! Hi! We like freedom of religion! Go back to Germany! Go to Germany! Go back to Germany! Go back to Germany! Please, Lord, I don't know! You are bad! You are bad! Come on, Mark, let us go.
Church of Scientology in Clearwater.
Mark, let us go.
The predicted has happened. Clearwater Mayor Gabriel Cesares, who led the effort to discover the true identity of the new owners of the landmark Fort Harrison Hotel, has himself come under personal and political attack.
I want to welcome you to occupied Clearwater.
I have to admit to you that I've stayed pretty well in hiding for the last 3 years. After I had an experience where my car was blown up on Christmas Eve in 1978 in front of a place where the church thought I was staying, but I was living elsewhere. I had planted that information in of the fair game policy itself. Of course, I have no way of proving that the Church of Scientology blew up my car. I just have the knowledge within myself that that's where I told them I was, and that's where it got blown up. The fact that I didn't live there was to my credit, not theirs. So.
Is a non-believer in Scientology a suppressive person?
Well, yes and no. See, it depends if you're actually attacking Scientology or not. For instance, if I didn't believe in Scientology but I kept my mouth shut, they probably wouldn't be concerned about me being a suppressive person. But when I go out and start speaking against them, I am certainly a suppressive person.
Many of you may have heard about my father. His name is John H. Boucher. He died May 5th, 2001. He committed suicide because he was convinced that he was an SP. The tech is perfect, the auditors are perfect, the problem is you. We don't have anything to do with it. It's always you. Who's the SP in your life? What have you done? What are your overts and withholds? And they check you like this. It's called a gangbang sec check. And he's believed it. He bought into this. Oh my gosh, I'm SP. That's the worst thing I can be. He started to spin into this, and it really had a severe effect on him. He stopped eating, he stopped going to work, he couldn't sleep. He sat on the sofa and cried all day. And you know what their answer to this was? B12 vitamins. Take some B12, John. It'll be all right. Take a walk. Well, it wasn't okay. The very first day we ever left my dad alone, he killed himself.
Potential trouble source. So all injury, accident, and illness. Listen to those three words. All. Injury, accident, illness. Oh. Is all because of PTS. Everything negative that happens is because of PTS, which means you are a P potential T trouble S source. Wow, that sounds weird, a potential trouble source. So in other words, not only did you just slip and split your lip, but you better get away from this guy, because if you're near him, you're going to split your lip too, and your business is going to fail. He's a potential trouble source. So you got to take him out. It's like he's got, it's like you don't come to school with the flu. This is like the spiritual flu. So it's like heavy shit. And now there's only one reason that you are a potential trouble source. One reason is that you're connected to an SP, which is a suppressive person. Now this is the 2.5% of awful people like Tori who are fucking it up for the rest of us, good people. And oh, it's a funny thing. It's funny.
From all the evidence presented against Scientology and from testimonies from ex-members, Scientology should be considered a mafia-like organization and a dangerous cult, not a religion. Many critics are speaking out across the world, and in 2008, the church has been met with more opposition than ever before. Another worldwide protest is happening on Saturday, May 10th, to raise awareness about this dangerous cult. And on July 19th, a major demonstration will be held at the reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln Monument in Washington, D.C. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will get involved.
If you leave this room after seeing this film and walk out and never mention Scientology again, you are perfectly free to do so. It would be stupid, but you can do it. You can also dive off a bridge or blow your brains out. That is your choice. But if you don't walk out that way, if you continue with Scientology, we will be very happy with you, and you will be very happy with you.
We believe
Zimu was put with several of his cohorts in the center of a mountain.
We believe
Fact 1, 1,000,000 years ago, is occasionally rigged with Christ and the devil and an angel.
We believe
there was no Christ.
Well, it starts like this. I was up in the Van Allen belt. This is factual. You'd be surprised how warm space is. And then something happened to me that I didn't know quite what had happened to me. I thought some facsimiles must have appeared in front of me, but they didn't look like facsimiles. And I had a feeling like I might possibly go into the sun. But I got confused. Because the sun was suddenly larger, and then it was smaller. And somehow or another, I was doing a change of space process that I myself was not familiar with. And it made me sort of bite off my Thetan fingernails just a little bit.
reach out, disseminate, sell books, get people in, and make them into Scientologists. Reach out, disseminate, sell books, get people in, and make them into Scientologists. Reach out, disseminate, sell books, get people in, and make them into Scientologists.